So Republicans are accusing Democrats of causing a big increase in crime. But is there any basis to this claim? The answer is no. Let's talk about it in today's video.
They're not soft on crime. They're pro-crime. They want crime. They want crime because they want to take over what you got. They want to control what you have. They want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. They are not owed that.
Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville generated all kinds of outrage over his racist comments that implied that black people cause most of crimes. And that's the reason Democrats want to give them reparations. I mean, there are so many flaws in this logic, I don't even know where to start. But what struck me about this, aside from the casual racism that Tuberville engaged in, something that's already been widely commented on in the media, so I'm not going to spend any time on it, but was this claim that you hear again and again and again and again, that crime is up and it's the Democrats' fault. Check out this video here from one of the MAGA movement's mouthpieces, Newsmax.
Well, the FBI releasing its 2021 crime report. Overall crime is down, but the same can't be said for homicides. So for more...
Okay, let's start with this. Overall crime is down, as he admits. Violent crime is also down, which he'll admit later. Homicides are up slightly, within the margin of error. And in fact, there's another study that shows it's actually gone down by about the same amount. But you know when crime did go up? By almost 30%. That would have been in 2020 when you-know-who was president. I wonder about that. Let's keep watching.
On this, let's welcome in former NYPD Commissioner and Newsmax contributor Bernard Carrick and spokesperson for the National Police Association and retired Chicago area police officer Sergeant Betsy Bratner-Smith. Thank you both for joining us. Bernard, I do want to start with you. This FBI's annual crime report says that murders continued to increase by 4.3% in 2021. That's on top of almost a 30% spike in the previous year. But it is...
Yes, that 30% spike the previous year. Who was president then? Let's just be clear about that. Let's keep watching.
Worth noting that the NYPD and the LAPD are missing from this report, so the FBI essentially used estimates. But what do you make of the...
That's true, by the way, but there are other studies that confirm this. And as I say, it's all within the margin of error, which means that it could be up 4%, it could be down 4%. It's really a relatively small amount of a change. Let's keep watching.
Initial numbers that you're seeing.
Well, I think when they tie in the LAPD and the NYPD, you're going to see that number increase. Number one, there's been substantial...
Actually, the research shows that large cities have seen declining crime this year. Let's keep watching.
Spikes in both LA, New York City, Chicago, and some of the other cities around the country. The bottom line is when you have...
You see, they just make these claims without any kind of factual basis, and we're just supposed to accept it. It's time that we stood up against this kind of BS. Let's keep watching.
Governors that implement bail reform laws and prosecutors that do not prosecute.
Okay, this is where it gets interesting. Now they're getting political, saying, oh, it's because of the governors, the Democratic governors, the liberal governors who are so soft on crime, right? Well, as it turns out, there's a study that shows that crime is 40% higher. Per capita homicide rates are 40% higher in states that Trump won than states won by Joe Biden. In fact, 8 of the 10 states with the highest homicide rates have been reliably red states for the past 2 decades with Republican governors. And as it turns out, Republican-led cities weren't any safer than Democratic-led cities. So this is all BS that they're spewing here. And again, we need to stand up to it. Let's keep watching.
And mayors that defund, you're going to see things like this. The more violence, the more...
Just to be clear, there's no mayor who's defunded the police. Let's keep watching.
Shootings, the more murder. And it's going to continue to rise until these mayors and governors put in real leadership, give the cops the resources they need. You know, when you defund, you take away the cops' manpower, their training, their resources, their equipment. It's got to stop. And until it stops, you're going to continue to see things like this.
And Betsy.
Evidently, it's those Republican states that are doing all sorts of horrible things that are causing the crime rates in their states to peak. Let's keep watching.
It's not just New York. It's not just Los Angeles. Just in Chicago, police say that a man walked into a police station ranting anti-police rhetoric, pointing a gun at an officer before he was taken down by police.
Now, this is where I love that they pick these specific stories that they're able to tell to kind of illustrate their point. Of course, what they're not mentioning is the fact that basically every other day, another black man is killed by police. And that's still the case. Let's keep watching.
Are a former Chicago police officer. So what do you make of not only these incidents, but really why do people feel so emboldened to take these types of actions?
Well, what's happening, and I worked in the Chicago suburbs, what's happening, we had this guy walk right into a police station because so many of the stations are not fortified. He was able to pull out a gun, start pointing it at officers. A week ago, a man walked into SWAT training in a Chicago district station and started picking up firearms. Fortunately, they were unloaded. And in the meantime, what's happening is Mayor Lightfoot is doing TikTok videos trying to encourage people to join a karaoke contest. It's absolute.
Now, this is what I love also, is that they make it seem as if because of the fact that she's engaged in this karaoke contest, that somehow that's stopping her from dealing with crime. And they even acknowledge the fact that this other police station where this person walked in and was getting the firearms, that the firearms were protected and that they weren't loaded. Let's keep watching.
Insanity, her absolute disrespect, not just for her police department, but for the citizens that continue to be victims of violent crime. We had several children shot last weekend. We've had multiple.
I love again how they talk about several children shot last week, and yet where's the outrage from Fox News and Newsmax over the shootings in Uvalde, Texas, for example? Now, who's in charge in Texas? Let's keep watching.
Children under the age of 14 murdered in Chicago in gang violence or road rage violence. It's horrific. And, you know, and now, of course, now we have violence on college campuses. The situation.
Now, again, the clear data shows that the violence is occurring in red states more so than in blue states. Let's keep watching.
At Marist University, and we just had a family of 4 kidnapped and murdered in a town of 86,000 people in California. When are people going to get tired of it? I know law enforcement is tired of it. We want to do something about it.
Right. And violent crime is wrong no matter where it takes place. But you mentioned that it is spreading beyond the places that have typically been the hotbeds of crime. Bernard, I want to get your input on this. There was that Purdue University student killed in his dorm room, a father that was shot and killed in the lobby of a hotel.
Now, let's be clear about something. Purdue University, that's in Indiana, right? Who's in charge in Indiana? Let's keep watching.
Visiting Marist College with one suspect at the scene of another homicide in that area just back in August. So how do we get people off of the streets and stay off of the streets? A lot of these people, multiple offenders.
Well, you know what? You just hit the key to this. Get people off the streets that don't belong on the streets until prosecutors start doing their job and prosecuting and putting people in jail and prison and throwing away the key when there's engaged in violent crime, when there's shootings, when there's murder. We have people that are involved in violent shootings that are out on the street the next day, 2 days later. That's completely insane. That stuff didn't happen under Rudy Giuliani in New York City, and that's why we saw a 65% reduction.
Actually, Rudy Giuliani was mayor while, Bill Clinton was president when the nation went overall through a dramatic reduction in crime. Let's keep watching.
In violent crime, a 70% reduction in murder. You're not going to stop this stuff until prosecutors start doing their job. And in a lot of these cities, like Chicago, you have these radical left-wing prosecutors.
So how does he explain the problems in these red states where it's worse than in the blue states? Let's keep watching.
And you have mayors that are not holding them account to do their job.
Yeah, and of course, that's at the very top, the people making those decisions. But even at the people who are actually dealing with the violent crime firsthand, they often feel that they're not getting the support they need. In fact, law enforcement deaths in the line of duty resulting from felonious acts increasing by 58% in 2021. So, Betsy, What do you make of this? I mean, is that a product of maybe defund calls, things like that? They're not getting the funding they need. What's really the driving force behind that? Do police not have the resources that they need?
Well, number one, I would say that's likely a result of the fact that we're bouncing back from the pandemic and that people are out and about. So those statistics end up being kind of strange. But number two, it's hard to feel sympathy for the police when literally every other day they're killing a black man without any kind of basis. Let's keep watching.
Well, what we're seeing around the country is the constant vilification of American law enforcement when officers do their job but are forced to use force.
It's not their job to kill a black man just because he's black. Let's keep watching.
Against someone. Very often they are excoriated, they are prosecuted, they are indicted.
They should be prosecuted if they kill a black man without basis. Let's keep watching.
And it's incredibly frustrating. So what's happening? With something we call depolicing, where police are just going to go do a report rather than aggressively proactive.
Now, wasn't she earlier on talking about how the police want to solve this crime, and now she's saying that police aren't doing their job? Which is it now, Betsy? Let's keep watching.
Police, and they're also leaving the profession, and we're not able to bring young people into this profession. Because again, young people turn on the television, read their phones, and hear that police officers are racist, they're terrible, they're unjust. So why would they want to be a part of that profession? We've got to go back to revere.
Isn't that kind of what they're talking about with teachers as well? Let's keep watching.
Law enforcement, hold us accountable when we do something wrong, but stop making police.
She just said she doesn't want them to be prosecuted when they commit crimes. Let's keep watching.
The villains, and stop making victims suffer for it. We've got to go back to a pro-victim justice system. Right now, it's all pro-criminal all the time.
Yeah, it's hard to do your job when you don't even believe that sometimes you're going to be backed for doing the right thing when you do it. But Bernard Carrick, Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith, thank you both for coming on this morning.
Now, again, the data are quite clear, by the way, that the place that we have bigger problems is in the red states when it comes to homicides. And overall crime actually is declining a little bit. So sociologists are going to be debating these changes in the crime rate over the past 2 decades, first going down, then going up, now coming down again, for quite a while. But one thing that is clear from the data, by the way, is that if you want to see the difference in murder rates between, say, a country like Canada and a country like the United States or any European country or Japan, is it has to do with guns. In fact, when you look at murders that are not with guns, the murder rates between the United States and the other countries is actually quite comparable. It's only when you add in the murders by guns that suddenly the United States goes off the charts. So pointing the finger at these red states is not simply a red herring like we accuse the Republicans of doing, blaming Joe Biden, when actually the big increase in murders, again, occurred under Donald Trump. But the permissive attitude that exists in these states around guns is exactly the type of thing that has led to the incredible level of murders in these states. Well, if you want to see who's really the party of crime, check out this video I did a little while ago over here talking about how Republicans are the party of crime. I'll see you then. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.